This is PWF Empire Live.
It's the best thing going today.
The best insight and analysis on the hottest topics in the world of wrestling happens here. From storylines and news to rumors and reviews, we've got the action covered from bell to bell.
Believe that.
Presented by PWFempire.com with your hosts,
Steven,
Evan Medina, and J-Dub.
do I have everybody's attention now?
The match starts now.
PWF Empire is live. Thank you all for tuning in this Tuesday at 9 p.m. Eastern on PWFempire.com and YouTube.com/PWF Empire. Jay here. Thank you for joining us on this road trip to WrestleMania. We have Evan and a returning Steven. Where have you been?
Finally,
What's...
the Steven
Did you-
has come back to PWF Empire.
Yeah, you went out, said you were just gonna go use a bathroom or something, and you just...
I got lost on the way to Road to WrestleMania. My GPS was all wrong. I hit the roadblock. It was all right. And
I see. You're playing coy now. I know what you were doing. You were out looking for Roman Reigns, weren't you? Because I find it interesting that the same week he comes back, you come back.
well, that's just because I am Roman Reigns. That's my alternate identity.
Hell, I was wondering, because I was looking at Monday Night Raw. I was looking like, is that Roman Reigns? He's been going for so long, I forgot what the guy looked like. So, hey, I don't know. But I'm glad that we finally figured it out now. But, yeah, we got a lot of stuff to talk about on the show tonight. We have the road to WrestleMania. A lot of big things happened on Monday Night Raw. Some good, some bad. We'll be discussing the good, the bad, and the ugly on the show tonight. And where we're going to get started, I mean, I don't know whether this was good, bad, or ugly. I guess we're here to see. Roman Reigns made his return to Monday Night Raw after being MIA for a few weeks. The reported news was that, or at least as far as the storyline was concerned, he was taking a bit of time off to recover from getting his face shattered by Triple H. But nevertheless, no matter what reason he wasn't on the show, he's back now. He came back with a big statement to make against Triple H. I heard that after the show, Triple H, he got some staples on the side of his head because he got busted open legit from the beating that he got from Roman Reigns. But yeah, Reigns whooped his ass all across the arena, even went backstage, hit him with a big TV, and yeah, Roman Reigns, he had to be pulled off of Triple H basically by the Usos, Jack Swagger, and was it Mark Henry? What a weird bunch of individuals. I get the Usos, but you know, I don't know. Weird.
Jack Swagger coming in with the wallet chain, styling. I honestly didn't even know it was him at first. I'm like, who is this blonde guy? Oh, Jack Swagger.
Well, Jack Swagger,
Yeah, he's still around.
again. Didn't you hear ever since Roadblock when they brought out an American and a Canadian audience to try to get Jericho over?
Mm-hmm. Yep, yeah. No, it makes perfect sense, of course. You know, denounce a Canadian crowd. The real American comes out to save the day. Makes sense.
With the We the People chant and everything.
Of course.
Canada, you are not the people. I'll say that you are not the people.
Yeah, you're the people's hat, Canada. Take that.
Okay, man. Alrighty, so yeah, this Roman Reigns situation. I don't know. I honestly don't even know.
How do you not
because
know? This is exactly what everyone has wanted Reigns to do, and he does it. How can you not know?
But see, here's the thing, because WWE has put themselves into a position where they had a lot of shit that they needed to do on Monday Night Raw, because you take into account the fact that Roman Reigns was gone from TV for weeks. You had Dean Ambrose in the position of #1 contender for the World Heavyweight Championship. And then you also take into account that Triple H versus Roman Reigns is a match that it was a hard sell to begin with. And you have all of these factors going into it, and WWE is in a situation where they're in a hole. And I don't know. I'm not even going to lie. What happened on Monday Night Raw did not get them out of that hole.
What hole are they in? I don't see that they're in a hole.
I just told you they're in a hole. I told you how.
It's not clear to me. Can you elaborate a bit more? What is the hole?
At this point, I'm a bigger fan of Dean Ambrose than I am Roman Reigns. Dean Ambrose in the position of number one contender was a whole hell of a lot more entertaining than seeing Triple H mix it up with Roman Reigns. This match itself, Triple H versus Roman Reigns, it's a hard sell. And that's the hole that WWE was in. They had to overcome all of that and then start building towards WrestleMania. And I believe that they failed on Raw.
First of all, I don't see it as being a hole because we all, like you said, it was always a hard sell. So I don't. Maybe it's just because I'm comparing it to so many other main events that were so much worse, like the possible Batista versus Orton main event, or The Miz versus John Cena.
So this is what you have to do to make Roman Reigns versus Triple H acceptable. Just pull out bullshit and like, okay, well, it's not that bad.
Well,
so.
I'm not doing it consciously. I'm just like it's always, ever since that scare that we might have gotten Orton versus Batista, like everything seems pretty okay to me. I don't know. I'm not gonna say it's like a match that I'm dying to see yet, but I still think it'll be cool. And I think the segment on Raw did a bit to make it exciting. I mean, they brought Blood out again. I'm really excited that Blood is back ever since it returned at whatever Raw it was. I don't know. What do you think, Evan?
Well, I'm personally in the camp of the fact that Roman Reigns in this main event situation, it's like he's got all the goods, but I don't feel like there's been any substance to this feud the way that actually I remember saying after Fastlane the key to this feud was going to be to build it up properly, and I don't really feel outside of the initial week that this has really been built up all that well.
The guy hasn't even been on fucking TV.
I mean, you can't really build up a feud very well without a guy even being on TV. That's a very fair point. And then I think that this was a case of too little, too late. I saw that a few different people say that on Twitter last night, and I said, yeah, that's like, hit the nail on the head to me. Just a little, like the segment was what it needed to be, but it lacked because of everything that had preceded it. It goes to show that sometimes when you do damage, it's not easy to just come right out of that. And make things better. In other words, I don't think anything got better as a result of this segment, so it made it feel underwhelming.
Really, I think it did. I feel like it was a good segment and it was successful. I honestly, I'm surprised that you guys aren't praising this because this is exactly what everyone wanted Roman Reigns to be. He looked like a badass. He was killing everyone. He was killing referees and security guards, hitting Triple H with stuff, making him bleed. Like, what else can you ask for? I know, I agree, it was a bit too late, but they wanted to focus on Ambrose for a few weeks, and I'm not going to begrudge that because I enjoyed that program, so I'm not going to say that I would prefer it happen a week earlier.
If you ask the question, what else could we have asked for, my honest answer is, I don't know. Because this was a situation that I didn't even want them to be in the first place. So it's like asking me a question. Okay, I'm going to present you with a situation that you did not want with the guy that is just completely fucked beyond all belief, Roman Reigns and his status in WWE. So what do you want from this situation? What I want is a time machine. What I want is a DeLorean to go back in time and do shit differently. That's what I want.
I don't know, man. I feel it. I'm confused why you think he's so fucked. I'm not saying that he's in the best position ever, but I think it's an overstatement to say that he's fucked. I mean, he was fucked last year going into WrestleMania. This year, he's doing all right, in my opinion.
Maybe it's me. Maybe I'm being unfair, and I keep bringing up Dean Ambrose's name, but I look at Dean Ambrose.
Since when do you like Dean Ambrose? You're always telling me
since WWE started booking him correctly. That's when I like Dean Ambrose.
Yeah,
when I got the chance to know who his character is based off of their booking and the way in which they develop him on a week-to-week basis. That's what I want to see out of Roman Reigns. I look at Roman Reigns on Monday Night Raw, and I don't know who the guy is. I don't know why I'm supposed to be rooting for him. And I'll sit here with a Roman Reigns shirt on right now that I paid money for, saying that I'm a fan of the guy. And it's not any situation where I'm biased against Roman Reigns. I want to support him, but I am not being given a reason as to why I should, and that's a problem. Man?
I'm curious. You don't have to do this, but I challenge you to, like, you can make a video or something, but, like, write out what you want to see this feud look like. Because I'm curious, like, what you could possibly make this feud, Triple H versus Roman Reigns. And, I mean, don't
from
go back
what
too
point?
far.
Are you saying from Monday Night Raw or
no,
before?
Do it from the Rumble, I guess. If you want. Because, I've always been with Evan that this needed to be booked hard, but when I'm thinking about it, I'm like, well, what the hell can this feud possibly be other than two guys beating the crap out of each other, which it's doing pretty well.
Well, it has done that well. It's just when he was off TV for all that time, it really did a lot of damage to the progress that had been made. And to me, I think there still was ways in which you could have had him on the show, as I mentioned a couple weeks ago, whether it was on the Tron, something, a distraction to Triple H, some sort of message that Roman Reigns could have said that said, hey, my presence is still going to be felt, even if I'm not at the arena tonight. And that wasn't there. It was like an out of sight, out of mind type of thing, and now it's a too little, too late type of thing. Because this segment, I agree with Steven, did do what it needed to. I think Roman Reigns had the right demeanor, he had the right intensity, he had the right look on his face. I do think the timing was off, though, because Triple H goes through a 20-minute match, and then Roman Reigns comes out. It's like, he either could have come out during the match,
I agree with that.
or something else.
I did expect him to come out during the match. I was surprised that he didn't, but I still really liked what I saw. Like, I never saw Roman Reigns so intense in a while.
I did at TLC. That's when I saw it. And
was that when he beat up Triple H the first time?
Yeah. We had the commentary team sitting there attempting to force a narrative saying, oh, well, we've never seen Roman Reigns like this before. Yes, we did. We saw him like that at fucking TLC.
This time, I felt like he was more pissed off this time because he was actually destroying things. He was destroying other people. I mean, last time it was just like collateral damage. This time he was really pissed off. I don't know. Maybe it's just a personal opinion difference. But I honestly was satisfied with what I got from Roman Reigns this week.
I wasn't, because it didn't need to be just good. It needed to be fucking awesome. It needed to demand everyone's attention.
Well, if you can, just figure out what would have made it that, because I don't know what I would have done to make it any better.
And I said it already. I don't know either. I do not know either. It's an unfortunate situation that we're in. I did not want to be here. I didn't want this.
The fact that there can't really be a point to be made about what could have made it better is just proof of how much of a corner WWE booked themselves into. Like, that's proof of it, in my opinion, because it's hard to formulate what could have made that segment awesome when you take into consideration multiple weeks of Roman Reigns being off television. Usually, a main event feud isn't built up with one of the two guys in the main event, not even on the show, for a couple of weeks.
WrestleMania comes around.
Well, if you're a part-timer like Brock Lesnar or Undertaker, absolutely. But when it comes to Roman Reigns, a guy who's, being teased as the next, top star of the company, that's usually not the situation. So it's definitely that is going to be something that hurt them a lot. Like, once you're in that situation, now you're in such a corner that even the return beatdown isn't going to feel anywhere near as good, especially when you already had Triple H defend the title against somebody else. Basically, all the momentum was on Ambrose's side, and I feel like last night didn't really do a whole lot to change that. I actually think Ambrose still had more momentum. Jeez, can't talk. Even despite the fact that he was in a completely different segment.
He does, and I, for one, am glad about that. Like, I'm kind of happy he didn't win the title at Roadblock, because I didn't want to see Ambrose go into WrestleMania as the defending champion. I don't think that's a good spot for him. I really do want to see him go over Lesnar, and I'm excited for that. And him getting the momentum from Triple H was very good to me, and I don't know, I'm happy with the position that everyone's in. Honestly, I really am.
If you say so, man. Okay. Well, let's see if you're happy with the position that the League of Nations is in, because on Monday Night Raw, they had, I guess it was technically a rematch, because it was still League of Nations versus the New Day with the tag titles on the line, but this was a different incarnation of the League of Nations, and the ones that fell to the New Day on WWE, the network special Roadblock. So here, after the match is over, League of Nations, they lose to New Day, but League of Nations, they command attention in a sense that they beat the hell out of New Day. So it gets to a point where the announcers are talking about how it didn't even matter that they lost the match because they are the ones who are going to get the headlines. League of Nations beats down the New Day. And there was actually a comment made on commentary that League of Nations is the most dominant faction in WWE today. Now, I know we've had all of our issues.
Oh my God.
Okay, do I even have to ask buy or sell?
I mean, it might be true by default because I can't think of anyone else who's dominant. I mean, I'm not.
How about the team that kicked their asses at Roadblock and on Monday Night Raw? How about New Day? Why not them? Because I sit there and I hear once again
I guess so. Yeah.
Yeah, more than two. I count it as a faction. So here we have WWE's commentary team once again forcing a narrative, trying to push it into our heads, shove it down our damn throats that this is the most dominant faction in WWE when we just saw them get their asses kicked in a title match on Raw and also in a title match on Roadblock. So where's the dominance? Okay, you could beat somebody's ass when there are no rules, when you catch them off guard, but when it counts, nothing. So I'm going to sell this idea of...
What are we buying or selling here? Are they the most dominant faction?
Buy or sell this. Buy or sell League of Nations being on the right track. I'm selling it because I don't like the way the WWE forced the narrative.
It depends what you mean by the right track. Because right now I think they're right where they should be, which is putting the New Day over as baby faces even more than they already are. Like, I can't think of a better heeled team to go against the newly babyface turned New Day. So I think that's the right track. You know, I'm not going to praise them or anything, but they're serviceable in their role, and they're a very hated group. Maybe not for the right reasons, but I think they're a good opponent for the New Day. I really do. And both matches, I will say, have been successes. They've been over matches, and they have good chemistry with the New Day. So if I'm just taking them for what they are, I'm going to buy it. If you want me to buy whether or not they're this great faction, then of course not. They're just mid-carders. But now that they're actually in the mid-card, that's fine. They could be mid-carders in the mid-card, and I'll buy that. But if they're mid-carders in the main event, which they were before, then forget about that.
Maybe it's just because of the fact that they started off on such the wrong foot that I just don't care. Like, they lose at Roadblock and then they lose again on Raw. Yeah, let's give them a third tag title match. I mean, I guess, yeah, they did beat them up afterwards as a 4-on-3 beatdown, but I don't view them as on the right track. I think it's one of those things where this is a stable or a faction, whatever we're going to use the word for, that would have worked so effectively 2 or 3 years ago, rather than right here and right now. It was kind of thrown together, and it's one of those things that just I don't feel has any strength to it at all. And to me, they wouldn't be on the right track until they actually started to rack up some wins, which they haven't done, or do something impactful. I mean, they beat up New Day after they lost. So that to me is it impactful to, I guess to a certain extent, but I'm just not loving anything that the League of Nations does, so I'm going to have to go ahead and sell this one.
To me, they are just sorry for interrupting. To me this whole thing is about the New Day, and whoever's in the opponent's side, I don't really care, and I think they're doing a serviceable job there. And every segment that they have with the New Day, I enjoy. And I'm not saying it's because of them, because it's not necessarily, but they don't detract from it. They're good opponents that people hate, and I can't think of who else I would rather face the New Day. I think it's fine. I really do.
We got a comment from Kyler in the chat saying, anyone catch JBL's remark of being the new Four Horsemen? Yes, it goes right along with the bullshit of talking about how they're the most dominant faction in WWE. It's like WWE, they force these narratives from the commentary team, and they're not supported by the booking. And I sit here and I wonder, am I supposed to believe you when you say things like this? Am I supposed to immediately call it out as bullshit? Like, what am I supposed to do? Like, when things like that are said, it extends beyond whether it's face or a heel. Like, that's just bullshit. And the announcers who are supposed to be the narrators of the story, who are supposed to be the assistants to help us know what's going on and interpret the things that are happening on screen, when you do things like this, you lose credibility and the entire process. Like, I'm taken out of the entire process. So, yeah, and doing this with the League of Nations before the domination even starts, not liking it at all. Okay, next up we have the undercard for WrestleMania 32. We could possibly see the League of Nations versus the New Day joining that undercard. We have a few more matches there. We have Sasha Banks versus Becky Lynch versus Charlotte for the Divas Championship. Steven, do you have a few more of the matches?
Yeah. Owens versus Zayn, Jericho versus AJ Styles. Those are the main the ones you listed plus the ones that I just listed are, to me, the mid card, unless I'm missing any other one.
I mean, I guess Kalisto and Ryback, if that's actually
happening.
that
one too. Even that
for the
one.
U.S. title.
I buy all of this. This is good. Like, honestly, the mid card is being built up really well right now. I haven't felt like the mid card going into WrestleMania has been built up this well for I don't know how long. Usually they're just thrown together matches. These ones, like, I actually can see a storyline going into every single one of these.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think the storylines are in depth enough. Maybe with like a Zayn and Owens in particular. But they've made some efforts with the Divas Championship match. The U.S. title match feels a little bit random, but I don't mind it because it's featuring a new side of Ryback, and I think the match could actually be a little bit interesting. I don't know. I'm okay with this too. I'm really gonna end up buying this mid card undercard because I really think that these matches can all be good. They're not. At least there's been some establishment. Like, I think WWE's effort on Raw last night was really good in terms of trying to at least establish matches, do a little bit of something extra for them, and that's not just the main matches. That it goes for all these mid card matches too.
Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and buy the mid card or the undercard matches for WrestleMania. I'm liking the way some of them are building up. I mean, I have issues, and I mean, like you guys are saying, Sami Zayn versus Kevin Owens. We're not getting that match one-on-one.
We are getting that match. I really think we are. It seems like it's going that way.
Well, shit, Neville, he's out of the picture right now because he's injured, but The Miz, he's mixing it up with those two. He
also mixed it up with Jericho and AJ. He wasn't in the match. The Miz right now is just enhancement talent, and he does that very well. I didn't see The Miz being entered into that picture. Let me just say that. I thought I was in agreement with you a few weeks ago. I thought, well, they're gonna do a multi-man thing, but this week they really just focused on Zayn versus Owens, and they've been focusing that, it looks like, on SmackDown too. Yeah, they have other guys in the mix, but that's because you can't have Owens versus Zayn every week. So they're actually building stuff up here. They're putting them in tag.
Well, they did have The Miz, I think, on Monday Night Raw. He hit Kevin Owens.
He did, but that was because of what happened on SmackDown.
But that's a story between those two that's building up there.
You might be right, but honestly, I feel like The Miz is just an auxiliary piece here. Because I don't believe it's going to be a triple threat with The Miz. If this was a multi-man match, we would have seen a lot more people get involved. And I guess, yeah, Neville was involved. But I feel like if it was a true multi-man match, we would have seen a lot more people be involved by this point. But really, it's focusing right now on Zayn versus Owens. And Neville and Miz are kind of on the side being enhancement for that feud. At least that's the way I see it. I could be wrong, and I hope I'm not wrong, because I really think the one-on-one match would be the best way to go.
See, they're focusing on Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens because this is a big-ass con job. That's what this is. They're leeching off of them to add heat to what's going on. But, like, for the undercard overall, I can't say that I'm jumping for joy at a lot of what's going on, but it's enough for me to buy it. I'm more concerned with what's going on at the top of the card. And, you know, because we got some issues there, as we talked about earlier on in the show, and we're going to talk about a little later, too, in a different subject. But moving right along, Dolph Ziggler had the opportunity to take center stage on Monday Night Raw in a match with the WWE World Heavyweight Champion Triple H. This came about because Dolph Ziggler came out to the ring, interrupted the Authority, and he kept saying over and over again, he's not going to quit, he's not going to give up, and they wanted to put Dolph Ziggler to the test. They said that if he was to beat Triple H in a match on Monday Night Raw, he would get whatever match that he wanted to, the match of his desires at WrestleMania 32, any match except for World Heavyweight Championship match. But
now, if he said, I want to face the Undertaker, would they have been like, oh, not that one either? How about Brock Lesnar? Dean Ambrose kind of has Lesnar. How about the IC title? Okay, yeah, we'll put you there.
It's like when you get a coupon for something and then you have that little asterisk and it's like everything except for the good shit. So you can get whatever you want to from the clearance rack, but none of the good stuff. So, yeah, do you buy or sell Dolph Ziggler taking center stage on Monday Night Raw?
I don't know. Honestly, I don't know. I'm not sure what this was supposed to do. If it was to make Ziggler a character again, then I would buy it, but it looks like it was just to get Triple H more over as a heel.
I mean, even if that's the case, hell, I'll buy it. That was good.
Yeah, well, you really like Triple H, and you have something against Ziggler. So,
I used to like Dolph Ziggler too, so
I still like Ziggler. I've always thought he's overrated, but I still don't want to see him. I still want to see him on TV and in storylines.
See, my thing with Ziggler is I don't like punk Ziggler. If he's being a man and he's standing up and like what he did on Monday Night Raw, I liked what I saw from Dolph Ziggler there. And also, it was a continuation of a storyline that I was really excited about. Like, at the end of 2014, I was a really big Dolph Ziggler fan. When you had all of that stuff going on with him and the Authority and the Survivor Series match, like, for them to pick back up off of Dolph Ziggler versus the Authority, I thought that was cool. Even if it does nothing beyond what we got on Monday Night Raw. I hope it does, but even if it doesn't, what we got on that show, it was cool, so I'll buy it.
It was cool, but I don't know if it helped anyone, so I'm going to sell it.
I mean, Triple H got a win. It helped him.
It didn't help him. He didn't need that win.
He cut a good promo. That helped him.
That promo was kind of, I don't know. I mean, it was kind of generic for Triple H. And also, he tried to do something that's just, you can't buy. He tried to lump Roman Reigns in with Dean Ambrose. Which, he started saying things like, that's why you cheer for Dean Ambrose, because he gives you hope. And I'm like, okay, alright, I can buy that. That's why you cheer for Roman Reigns. No one's really cheering for Roman Reigns. Like,
yeah, he just tried to slip that in there, like, no, motherfucker, no.
And then when Ziggler came out, like he was like, "You're talking about me and Ambrose." I'm like, when did he mention Ziggler in that promo? I don't know. I'm not gonna say it wasn't bad, but I don't know. I think it only did damage. I don't think it helped. Anyway.
Oh well. Also, I like the match too, because I noticed very early on that the match was very, I can't necessarily say it was very slow, but it was a lot slower than what we usually get on Monday Night Raw and, in WWE these days. Everybody loves the big spots and bouncing all over the damn place. This was a very slow and methodical pace for this match, and I really enjoyed that. It was a nice change of pace. Okay, next up, we have a comment from a viewer of PWF Empire Live. This was from Cirrus5005, and it's regarding Roadblock. The comment reads as follows: strip all the glamour away, though, and what do we have? A special on which nothing changed. Why tease the possibility of causing havoc for WrestleMania, then not following through in a single storyline? Made the entire thing feel as pointless as I expected it was going to be. So, of course, this is referencing Roadblock, the WWE Network exclusive event that aired on Saturday, I believe. And this viewer, Cirrus, says that the event was pointless because WWE did promote this as, this could change the shape of WrestleMania. And we pretty much had the same status quo going into the show as we did coming out of it. So with that being said, do you buy or sell Roadblock being pointless?
I don't know. It depends what you really expected of it. It was a glorified house show from the beginning. I don't know what else
Did it
to
meet
say.
your expectations?
Yeah, I thought it was great, honestly. I thought it was. Like, from top to bottom, it was a great show. And everyone was over. The crowd was a good crowd. I enjoyed pretty much every match on the show. So, yeah, I would say it succeeded in my opinion. Yeah, nothing particular changed after it. But, I don't know what more you could have expected. I don't know if people were really expecting Ambrose to win. Because that was really the only thing that could have changed anything.
Yeah, that would have been the only significant thing that happened on that show that could have changed the shape of WrestleMania, and I didn't want that to happen. All I wanted out of Roadblock, and my expectation, was for Dean Ambrose to emerge as a legit main eventer. And
Yeah.
I believe I got that out of Roadblock.
Yeah,
so
I was going to say
if
the
that
same
was
thing.
my Yeah, that was my big thing about Roadblock. Just seeing how would Dean Ambrose come out of this show and who is this guy going to be? And based off of what we got out of Roadblock and the way in which Dean Ambrose was portrayed, it was a success to me. So I got it. Roadblock being pointless, I'm going to have to sell it because it wasn't pointless for me.
Yeah, I sell it too because I enjoyed it, and Dean Ambrose had a lot of development on that show, and the commentary team for once sold that. Actually, this show, I feel like Vince was not involved because it felt more like an NXT takeover, especially with how the commentary was talking. They weren't being annoying.
Yeah.
They actually sold, like when Ambrose was doing the submissions, they sold, well, okay, so Dean Ambrose is the kind of guy who normally doesn't know what he's doing, but it looks like this time he came with a game plan. That's the sort of thing they were saying, and like I didn't notice that. I mean, yeah, I noticed he was having a game plan, but I didn't necessarily compare that to his normal style, even though maybe I should have. But I'm glad they pointed that out. Like, they actually sold that Ambrose was doing things intentionally. You saw a different side of Ambrose. Triple H was selling the hell out of it. Triple H actually looked like he was having trouble with this guy. And the commentary team was interpreting that and delivering it successfully to the audience. So I thought that was really good. So Ambrose came out of that looking great. He pretty much beat Triple H, just like he pretty much beat Seth Rollins. And yeah, the only thing I didn't like was that it's yet another not victory for Dean Ambrose, where it looks like he won, but then he didn't win. But I think the positives outweigh the negatives in that instance, and overall he came out looking good, so I'm not going to complain about that.
Let's continue on this subject of Dean Ambrose. On Monday Night Raw, he got a little bit of a present, or this is kind of a big present from the legendary Mick Foley. He delivered to Dean Ambrose as a passing of the torch a baseball bat wrapped in barbed wire. And I don't know, could this possibly be coming out to play on the field for Dean Ambrose's match with Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania? I don't know, but just involving Mick Foley into this thing with Dean Ambrose and Brock Lesnar, it's kind of weird for me because they did this once before with the Dean Ambrose feud, and that was a feud with him and Seth Rollins where they were preparing for their Hell in a Cell match. And just the presence of Mick Foley to me sets expectations at a certain level that I don't know if WWE is able or even prepared to meet. Did you get that same sense that with Mick Foley, it's like, okay, well, they're trying to send a message here?
In a very slight way, because it wasn't a headline segment. It was just sort of a passing segment. But I think that will come into play. I would be surprised if the barbed wire 2x4, that's what it is, right?
No, it's a baseball bat.
Baseball bat, whatever. I'd be surprised if that didn't come into play, because that seems like the type of thing that was supposed to be... people were saying it was literally the passing of the torch, and I think if they light it on fire, that might actually be the passing of the torch. And I think they might actually do it, honestly. I think they might do it. And I think this match is going to be a lot more hardcore than we expect. And I only say that because lately things have been getting weird in the WWE regarding blood, regarding things we've been seeing. We've seen blood a few times, and we see blood in a lot of Lesnar matches. So I'm not going to be surprised if Ambrose uses the barbed wire baseball bat to cut him open. And if they light it on fire, I think that'd be cool. I'm not expecting that per se, but I'm not going to say that's outside the realm of possibility. Because all these things, they're stunts, right? You could make it look like it hurts, but it won't actually hurt. Whereas the things that are really off limits are like actual shots for the head. So I think they could do something like this. I don't see why not.
Yeah, I'm hoping that they understand what they're doing with raising the bar, including Mick Foley, and just for Dean Ambrose. Like, even if you take Mick Foley out of the mix, like, for Dean Ambrose, the fact that he's going up against the most dominant force in WWE history in the form of Brock Lesnar, like, I want to see this guy do more and explore that crazy side of him. And we talked about this weeks ago on the show. Like, this is what I'm talking about when it comes to character development and exploring who a person is. I actually mentioned on the show Dean Ambrose. He has to be something more than just the guy who gets back up when he gets knocked down. Like, what the hell are you going to do when you get back up? And I said on the show, this guy needs to get a fucking crowbar and go on the attack. And on Monday Night Raw, the dude pulls out a friggin' crowbar. And I'm like, yes, this is what I want to see out of Dean Ambrose. If he's a lunatic fringe, damn it, I want to see some lunacy. A crowbar, that's lunacy. Baseball bat wrapped in barbed wire, that is lunacy. So once again, WWE doing a great job with Dean Ambrose, and I look forward to see what's going to happen in this match
It's
with
ironic
him and Brock Lesnar.
Because way back when, Ambrose was supposed to have that feud with Mick Foley where he sort of confronts Foley for raising the bar so high. Remember that? Mm-hmm. He was going to blame everything on Foley. Look what you did. You set a bad example. And now he's actually being influenced by Mick Foley to go that extra mile in an extreme match. So it's kind of ironic.
That was back before he debuted on the main roster, right?
Yep.
Because I remember, like, I was like, who the hell is this guy?
He was
like, I've never heard of this guy before.
Foley. He was going to fight Foley.
And that's one hell of a fantasy match, isn't it? Oh, yeah. The lunatic fringe is back. Anyway, lovely technical difficulties over here on my end. Anyway, that crowbar was awesome. That it was great that he took that out. I thought that just enhanced the segment that much more and showed that Dean Ambrose is willing to go to whatever length. Again, we're getting depth with his character, and that's just so fantastic to me. So this segment,
know what that also shows? If you listen to Jay, everything will be okay.
Oh man, that is your catchphrase, isn't it? Wow.
Yep.
Hey, wow. It's no new day.
I'm working on it. That was my first shit. They came out of the gate rocky. We had to give them time to develop. Give me a little bit of time too.
Yeah, I think you're off to an okay start. All right. All right.
Thank you.
Let's see where you're going. Oh yeah. I'm buying a ticket to go watch your multi-man intercontinental title match that you're still trying to get yourself into, I'm sure.
See, the World Heavyweight Championship needs a little bit of help now. I thought
Oh, okay. Of course. See, I think that's why you want there to be a multi-man intercontinental championship match, is because you just want to get a spot. That's all.
Hey, I mean, we're in a situation where you could just say you're dominant and bam, that's it. So, I don't know. Maybe I'll get into the ring, beat somebody up, and they have to give me a title shot too.
Well, you make yourself a point, because a lot of things now are kind of just done instead of getting prestige. Kind of like the Andre Battle Royal, which I don't even know if that's happening this year, and also the Vincent J. McMahon Award. It's like, oh, this prestigious award. It's never even been given out before. But anyway, this segment with Lesnar and Ambrose was very necessary and definitely got things back on track for that match. So really was very well executed.
Alrighty, the final segment that we're going to be discussing on the show, we're going to close out PWF Empire Live the same way that Monday Night Raw closed out their show, discussing Vince, Shane McMahon, and also The Undertaker. It pained me to say this on Twitter, but I put it out there. I'm stating for the record, that I love Vince, love Shane, love Taker, but that segment that closed out the show was a hot ass motherfucking mess. It was like, I looked at it and I had to hang my head in shame. Like, I wasn't even personally involved in it, but there was just something that happened there that went off the rails. And as much as it pains me to say it, it was Shane. It was Shane. He was forgetting his words and just out there speaking nonsense. Like, what was one of the words?
Shane. It was Vince who actually makes people have words in the first place.
Wait a minute. So Vince made him botch? Vince
is the guy who insists that all the promos are written, yeah. Otherwise he's doing improv and you wouldn't have that.
At the end of the day, Shane is still a human being. You should know what makes sense and what doesn't. Because if you go out there and you say, if you hit me, I'm gonna miss. Like, what?
Well,
Shane should know that doesn't make sense.
But
he still fucked up. That was the problem.
Okay,
like,
so one minor
up.
verbal botch.
It wasn't one. It was not one. If you look at it, time after time, like, as much as I love Shane McMahon, let me go ahead and state for the record, I do. That's my homeboy. There's a pattern. Ever since he's come back, he's had, like, little flubs and botches and things like that, and I don't want to make it seem as if I'm coming down hard on him, but it's just me sitting here as an observer, as a viewer, somebody who's attempting to get invested in what is going on. That takes me out of the process. And when it happened there, like, that wasn't the first time, it wasn't the last time in that promo, and it's just hard to get invested in what's going on.
And the same can be said for when Undertaker talked about his hands. It didn't sound like something that Undertaker would say. So to kind of go off of what Steven is saying, I feel like that's something Vince totally was like, say this about your hands. And it's like, what? That's just not a line that Undertaker would normally say.
Do you remember what he said? I don't remember.
I don't remember the exact words, but it was he just talked about how like these
that's
were
right.
his.
He's like, this is my legacy.
My legacy is my hands.
Aside from WrestleMania, this is my legacy. You know,
and
I have these.
It just didn't sound very Undertaker. You know,
I thought of
Trump's hand. It's like his hands are really big.
I thought of like Scrappy Doo. You know, put him up. Is that Scrappy Doo, the one that does this? Yeah, that's what I was thinking of.
Yeah.
that whole thing was
I think it being the main event made it a lot worse.
Yeah, it should have been somewhere in the middle of the show.
If it was in the middle, it wouldn't have been that bad.
See, the fact that it was bad made it bad.
Oh, sure, but I think the segment might have been better if it wasn't the way that the show ended.
I don't think it was trash. Like, I feel like that's another overstatement. Like,
no. Did you see those punches from Shane?
Oh my god!
Talking about Undertaker's hands.
But Shane's punches always look like that.
But, okay, so are we in a situation again where it's like we just accept it? Like, oh, okay,
no,
well, they're bad, you know?
That's what Shane's punches have always looked like. Like, we can't just suddenly expect him to look like a champion boxer. His punches
Why not? Why not?
Why would you expect Shane's punches to be excellent all of a sudden?
He's in a match with the Undertaker, one of the marquee matches for the biggest show of the year. Like, I have expectations that have been set based off of the caliber of opponent that the Undertaker has had, and I think that with Shane,
you're gonna have those expectations blown away because Shane's gonna make sure this match is damn good.
I bet the match will be, but those punches,
Steven, Steven, I can't believe we're having this conversation. You are the guy. We were on the same damn team on this show when we were talking about how much build-up and story matters, because at the end of the day, how many weeks of Monday Night Raw are we going to see versus matches between Shane and The Undertaker?
I have an exception for, because this match almost has no need for a story. Because,
if that's the case, then shit, give me one of those Men in Black things, so like the mind wiper, so I can forget what happened on Monday Night Raw. Because I mean, because if that's the story that they're doing, like, that honestly killed a little bit of the mystique of the match for me.
Well, I don't know if the match ever had mystique. I just think it's the best match they got for The Undertaker this year. and it's gonna be damn good, and it has something on the line regarding not the Undertaker this year. And so,
and I think the whole narrative was cool, and just this week's segment to me really damaged that
this
somewhat.
This segment was weak. I'm not gonna lie.
This was the only weak segment in the build to this point, really, as far as I'm concerned. Like, I mean, when Undertaker first appeared, it was underwhelming only because it was like, oh, I wish we got more of Undertaker, but it wasn't a disappointment. It didn't do damage. I felt like this segment actually hurt my personal anticipation for this match. Again, I'm not going to speak for anyone else. I'm just saying, me personally, I am not as excited right now for that match as I was a week or two before, or Sunday, I guess you could say, because before the segment.
That they would bring some of these feuds together, because I kind of wish that Shane got involved with Triple H, and that I don't mean like to make the matches go together. I just feel like the feuds can overlap a little bit. Because why isn't Triple H more concerned about Shane right now? Why isn't Shane more concerned about Triple H?
That's a good question.
You could use Reigns with Shane a little bit. I mean, I was thinking, like, I kind of almost wish that it was Shane versus Triple H and then Reigns versus The Undertaker. But that's not what we're getting. So, but
it makes more sense.
Yeah.
In terms of Shane McMahon fighting for power against Triple H, who is in power right now, that makes more sense. Even Shane versus Vince would make more sense, like, based on who actually has the power. Undertaker's basically just the representative for them, which is fine. It's just a little bit out of place, I feel like, in 2016. Like, Undertaker, with where he's at right here and right now, it's like every WrestleMania match he has is just... like, this could be his last Mania match. Like, let it be amazing. This match will have that, like, amazing factor to it. It's just, I don't know. It's for some reason there's something lacking from it still at the same exact time. I don't know. It's hard to put your finger on.
It's like when you bring the Undertaker into the mix, it changes your expectations. Like, it takes it to a completely different level, because this is no longer just a match about power struggles in WWE. This is a match with the Undertaker at WrestleMania, and do you know how much power that has? Just saying that statement, a match with the Undertaker at WrestleMania. And when I looked at that segment, and we kind of talked about this last week, like this new Shane that we're seeing, and it's just weird seeing Shane in the ring with the Undertaker, even outside of like the botches on the mic. Like, he's punching the Undertaker with those weak ass punches, and then like the Shane shuffle and dancing around and stuff like that. It was kind of jarring to me, because I'm sitting there like, really? Like, you're going up against somebody who Vince has called the most destructive force in WWE history, and this is what you do? Like, weak ass punches, and those punches were enough for you to start dancing and things like that? Like,
yeah,
that is who Shane is, but maybe he needs to be somebody different if you're going to a match with the Undertaker.
Yeah, that's part of the point that I was going to bring up, is that I feel like Shane almost needs to unlock a different part of himself, because he's fighting for the power of the company. He wants to have control so he can save WWE. That's what his goal has been since he made his return. That's what he has said. The story has been built around him wanting to save it so that the business lives on, that he can pass the business forward to his sons, and that things can be as good as they should be in wrestling in WWE right here and right now, and they're not. Vince is out of touch, etc., etc., and all that has been an awesome narrative. But, those punches and, like you said, the shuffling around and dancing around, that has always been Shane McMahon. But, like, he should be doing things a little differently. Like, why didn't he try to do more damage to Undertaker before start shuffling around, And maybe that's looking a little too much into it, but it honestly was just not a great segment. My favorite part was Vince shoving Shane into Undertaker and then leading to a chokeslam. That was actually good. But the rest of that doesn't make up for the rest of the segment, which was a bad one.
Now that I think about it, maybe Shane didn't botch when he said, "You're gonna hit me and I'm gonna miss," because I mean he does miss. Like,
yeah, I mean he punches like 15 times, and I feel like it has the damage of maybe one or two actual punches.
Because his punches are shit. He's a little guy, He's a little guy, like Ryback says. His punches aren't thing. He even said, like, his punches aren't. He's gonna his plan is to out-endure the Undertaker. But I don't think any of this is the main problem with this match. I think the stakes are really too high, and if they don't deliver, it's going to be disappointing. Because they keep doing this thing where they keep using our actual frustration in a storyline, and if Shane doesn't win, then what the fuck was any of this? And if Shane does win and nothing changes, then what the fuck was any of this?
Right. It's all about execution.
So this match doesn't only have the kayfabe stakes that we ascribe to it with The Undertaker. It also has creative direction stakes. Basically, this feud says if Shane wins, the creative direction of Raw is going to change. So they better be prepared to back that up, you know? If he wins... If he doesn't win, then it's kind of like, okay, so what? Did they just admit that they suck and they're going to keep sucking? Is that what they just did? But if he does win and nothing changes, then they just admitted they suck and they're going to keep sucking. So the only way that this works is if they actually change things and give maybe Shane some backstage power. I don't know. I don't know what they plan on doing.
Yeah, like the quality of Raw has to somehow get better in the meantime. Like Raw can't just be what it is right now and still be like, oh, same old 3 hours, oh, same old stuff. Like they have to make it feel different because otherwise this whole storyline was not really valid in any way, shape, or form because nothing came of it except now you can slap the name of Shane McMahon as your GM or acting authority figure. That's the only difference that really comes into play. If they don't actually improve the product in some way, shape, or form.
Okay, I'm going to go to a few tweets that we've gotten on Twitter, surprisingly, with the hashtag PWFEmpire. We have a comment from Anthony saying, I think Vince has to be the special guest referee for the Shane Taker match. Agree or disagree? What do you guys think about that one?
What was it?
Vince being
Vince
special guest referee for Shane Taker.
I mean, that wouldn't be bad. It would make sense, but I feel like maybe that's excessive. He already has all these odds against him.
It could be excessive, but then again, it's almost like, why wouldn't Vince do that? Just to make it that much harder on Shane. So,
who will Bray Wyatt face at Mania?
I don't think he'll face anyone.
From John Carlton.
I think he will be involved, but I don't think he'll face anyone. And I mean, isn't his back a problem right now?
I don't know.
I think he's going to get involved with Lesnar.
He's got a lot of problems right now.
I think he's going to cost Lesnar the match against Ambrose.
I can see that.
Oh my God, that would be so disgusting.
It's terrible, but I can see
Ugh.
it. I mean, with what happened at Roadblock, I feel like because Bray wasn't involved in the match much at all, that he's saving it for WrestleMania. I really can see it too.
Don't let that happen.
Oh, I hope not.
I was on my Roadblock review. I was like, they left a lot unsaid right there. What the hell is going to happen between Bray Wyatt and Brock Lesnar? I just didn't see any space for anything to happen. But if that's the case, like, this is one thing that pisses me off about WWE, hedging their bets. And I think that they do a lot of damage to the character that is Brock Lesnar when they do things like this. Like, if you want the guy to be beaten, then beat the damn guy. Just do that. But it's like, okay, well, if we do this, you know, this little shady way, we could still maintain enough for Brock Lesnar to move on to the next level. And then, you know, you just keep picking away at him little by little to the point where he's not going to have anything left, or when he does actually get beat, it's not going to have the impact that it should. Oh my God.
I think he also could possibly get involved with Shane and have a face turn. That could happen as well.
With all of these options, Bray, hell, you're better off just sitting in the crowd, you know? Well, you could sit next to me and Charlie. We'll make sure we do something with it.
Yeah, you know what, though? If Bray does come out and tries to interfere, you need to jump the barricade. You and Charlie need to jump the barricade, and you need to stop that man immediately. And you need to tell him, hey, man.
Would him interfering in the Shane match be that bad? Because, you know, someone's going to interfere. Like, it can't just be... Like, Shane can't beat The Undertaker one-on-one. So, if he wins, then it has to be an interference. And Bray Wyatt wouldn't be the worst, especially if it's a face turn.
But I don't want Bray Wyatt to turn face.
Me neither, but there's a lot of people who think he'll be very successful. I know the Solemn Monster thinks Bray Wyatt needs to be a face. I don't agree either, but I don't know, cause I say it because like there's a very corporate ministry vibe going on here. Like no one's saying anything about the corporate ministry, but I mean Vince and Taker are allied again, so it would not be that surprising if you saw a new corporate ministry with Bray Wyatt and Shane maybe, except baby faces. I don't know. I just feel like it could happen.
Yeah, it's hard to say, but I mean Bray Wyatt's going to be used one way or another. I mean, they haven't really talked about the Andre Battle Royal yet, but I could see him being a winner of that. Not like that does anything for him, so really doesn't.
I mean, I could see the Wyatt family in that match, but if Bray is in that match, I'm going to kill myself. I mean, I wouldn't mind if like Braun, whatever his name is, Braun Strowman or Luke Harper or even our boy Eric Rowan won the Battle Royal. But
Who is this Who's that?
Well, you're a hater. That's what you are.
Oh,
That's the only problem with
But
this
me
whole
and
thing.
Evan and Kyler and all the other PWF Empire regulars.
Yeah, we all love him.
We know about Eric Rowan.
Yeah,
I know about him too.
Yes,
I still can't believe that where you got his freaking wife.
I didn't.
I don't think you were on the show. When we talked about that, Evan, you had like his wife was responding to the comments on Twitter.
You still didn't even show me that. I just heard about that.
Yeah, she responded to a couple of the things when I made a sarcastic tweet about Eric Rowan versus the Big Show, the Goliaths of Goliaths match. And she was like retweeting it and favoriting it. And she was like, yeah, great. And I was like, Rowan Revolution. She's like, favorite. I'm like, yeah, like
Rowan
this
Empire.
Yeah. And then I was like, who is this girl? And then because it was somebody random, and I looked in and saw some of the photos she had on her Twitter, and it's her and Eric Rowan, like together. I'm like, this is legit. This is her.
That's just
like
Abigail.
I thought it was one of those people. Like I didn't see any pictures with them together. I saw like so and so's wife. And I was thinking that it was just like one of those weird fangirls that, are on Twitter.
Oh, like thought she was the wife of someone?
There are plenty of Eric Rowan fangirls out there.
Yeah, I'm on a show with two of them right now.
Absolutely you are. You better believe it. The Rowan Revolution's a real thing, man. Just because you don't want to get involved with it, hey, it's true.
Oh, God. You know what?
It's a slow burn.
This is a perfect... No, this is not a slow burn. I'm burning this whole damn thing down. You know what? It's over, guys. Or at least till next week. Thank you guys for tuning in to PWF Empire Live. We'll be back next week. Same place, same time. PWFempire.com. Tuesday at 9 p.m. Eastern. PWFempire.com. YouTube.com/PWFempire. Go ahead and take a few seconds to rate this show. Not saying you should give it a thumbs up or a thumbs down. Whatever you think it deserves, go ahead and do so.
Like us on Twitter. Go back and watch all the other PWF episodes. And take care. Spike your hair. Woo woo woo. You know it. That's the end.
Alrighty, and that's it. Peace out.